Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I know how much all of us are going to be talking about AI here in the new year. 2026 is a world of opportunities, and that's why I'm so excited to be joined by a very brilliant and talented guest today and fellow entrepreneur who not only believes in the real power, the positive force that business and entrepreneurship can be, not just in the business world, but societally, but also, I love how much today's guest places an emphasis on integrating AI, actually making AI be that force for good in our businesses. So let me introduce you to today's guest. His name is Elliott Godwin. Elliot is the founder and CEO of EG Integrations, which is a company dedicated to building intelligent automation and software solutions that make organizations more efficient and effective. Elliot believes technology should amplify human potential, not replace it. Under his leadership, EGI has become a trusted innovation partner for companies seeking to modernize their internal systems while also using that success to support nonprofits with access to the same transformative tools. His work blends business excellence with a genuine passion for impact, proving that scalable systems and meaningful change can go hand in hand. I'm so excited for all of us to learn not only from Elliott's brilliance, but also his perspective on the world. So I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Elliott Godwin. All right, Elliot, I am so very excited that you're here with us today. First things first, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian. I'm excited to be here.
Heck yes, I'm so excited not only to geek out about the nature of your work, but really I love your attitude towards all this stuff that you do. So, Elliot, I'm going to start by putting the spotlight on you. Who's Elliot? How did you start doing all these cool things? Take us beyond that bio.
Yeah. So, I mean, man, it goes way back. So we were pastors all my life. My parents were always in vocational ministry, and so we ended up traveling a ton. And with that, there was all kinds of little bits and pieces of my parents, especially my dad, getting into little advancements in technology as it was going on the ministry side of things. And so that kind of informed our passions with it. And so now for the past 2-ish years, I've been pushing forward with this business. And so kind of reflecting on everything I did in college as well. I went to college for international business. And so that was at the rise of the beginning of the usefulness of ChatGPT. And so it kind of kicked off this interesting wave of passion for technology. And so the rest is history.
Yeah, I love that overview, Elliot, especially because it obviously is so relevant to the current times that we're in. Here, you and I are having this conversation super early into 2026, which I am sure is going to be a massive year for everybody who wants to come along for the ride. And that's my view of AI right now, is that it is a great leveler. Elliot, at this point, you and I can produce marketing campaigns. We can produce websites. We can build custom apps. We can do so many things that traditionally were reserved for enterprise level companies that have giant development teams and giant marketing teams. Talk to us about, I think that you generationally have such an interesting view on AI. Talk to us about your view of AI, because let's face it, Elliot, I'm going to call this out before I kick it back over to you. A lot of people are afraid of what the future looks like in an AI world. So take us there.
Understand. So I actually think it would be good. I listened to your interview. It was Adam, I forget his last name, but he's over in Jordan. And so I was listening through that and his perspective on everything y'all were talking about. It was super cool. And I share a lot of his similar perspective of this new age of all these tools being developed is allowing people, like you said, to create things that would otherwise be restricted to corporate and enterprise clients. And so now we're able to create what a team of 20, 30, 40 would do with a team of 2 or 3 using these autonomous tools. And so, I mean, there's definitely parts of it that are scary. There's been quite a few podcasts or articles read where these people that are building some of these models can't explain why they're doing what they're doing. And that's a little nerve-wracking even for someone who's in the world. But my perspective is just kind of right now, I would describe it as awe of just being able to see what people without the resources can now do with the resources that have never been afforded to them. And in my specific case, seeing that with nonprofits that otherwise couldn't afford six-figure development projects, but now they're able to get these same resources for so much cheaper to push whatever mission they may have forward. And so that's how I would kind of sum it up of all. But yes, there is definitely an occasional fear of like, we don't know where this is going to go. And there's a lot of fear mongering surrounding AI and AGI, when we're going to reach super intelligence and yada, yada, yada. But there's definitely a little apprehension of where we're going, but it's still exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely share that excitement. And Elliot, you brought up nonprofits, so I'm going to go there with you because I've wanted to call you out since even before you and I were hit record today. And that is, I love the impact of your parents on shaping your story. Obviously, it shaped you very much personally, but of course, it also trickles into how it has shaped you business-wise. You grew up surrounded by a life of service and surrounded by a life of mission. A lot of people convince themselves of, maybe I should wait when it comes to starting my business. Maybe I should wait when it comes to doing this. Elliot, you did not wait. You said, I'm just going to start EG integrations. I'm going to take this to the marketplace because there's people that I'm meant to serve. Talk to us about the importance of that influence on your life personally and, of course, professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you put it best, kind of being surrounded by this life of servitude and seeing it play out. I mean, whatever religious persuasion any one of your listeners are, I mean, that's still in my opinion, still an advantageous quality to have, just as a human. And so seeing my parents go through their journey in their life and with their primary mission being serving the people of their community, it definitely put something in me and my brother's lives of we want to have that same impact. And so with my passion for technology, I guess I should back up a little bit, while we traveled around with my family and we kind of did all these different things, seeing how behind a lot of these nonprofits were of any type because of the lack of resources. And it was just kind of this revelation of, I want to be able to make money and I want to be able to have a sustainable business in the corporate and secular environment, but who else is going to try to get these resources to these organizations that could otherwise push forward and better help the world? And so that it was definitely a passion embedded by the choices of my parents, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I love that. And obviously, in certain circles, we use the word calling. And that's what I think all of us as entrepreneurs have, is that calling to not stand on the sidelines. I think that non-entrepreneurial types have a tendency to convince themselves to stand on the sidelines. But there's something within us that calls us to action. And that's why I love the fact, EG integrations, you heard me call it out at the very top of today's episode, is that I love the fact that you're not just out there saying, hey, AI can change your business, AI can change your life. You're actually talking about actually integrating it into businesses, integrating it into the way we operate, and most importantly, integrating it into the way that we serve people. Elliot, introduce us to your company and why that firm focus on integration.
Yeah. So EG Integrations, or EGI, was primarily designed to bring these software resources to companies and nonprofits, as many as possible. And so I guess there's a few different sides to it, but I guess a good one would be, right now, especially my feeds online are AI this, AI that. You have to get on board. You're behind. You're this, you're that. And there's kind of this confusion, and we don't know where to go with it. All these business owners and nonprofit leaders are inundated with this information that they're behind, and there's new AI products every day. And so it was just kind of this switch flip of, all these people are creating these tools, but no one's showing people how to use them. And so that's kind of that gap we wanted to fill of, let's go in and let's look at the problem. Let's devise a solution. And sometimes it's not even AI. I mean, that's just a part of this technology. Sometimes it's what people need most is an internal mobile app that allows them to use computer vision, or it's an on-prem ERP suite. Like, sometimes it's these different things. But we wanted to focus heavy on, here's the tools. There's an infinite amount of tools. Let us show you how to get them to work for you. And so that started with me playing this role of systems architect. and going in and talking with the client and figuring out the problem, devising a solution. And then the client base we acquired so quickly was absolutely unbelievable. And so now we're at a team of 8, hopefully soon to be 9. And it's become this just rapid growth that we're just trying to hang on for dear life, because so many people, secular or nonprofit, doesn't matter, are so confused and looking for that next step of like, how do we use these tools? We know they're out there, but what do we do with them?
Elliot, I want to share the stage with you for a second here in today's episode, because this is a conversation I've been particularly excited about, because you just made a point that I think we need to talk about out loud, and especially a lot more here in 2026. And that is, in a world where everyone is worried that AI is going to replace humans, I have found this to be true inside of my businesses, is that the more that we implement and integrate AI into our workflows, which are both external facing and internal, the more we've been hiring, Elliot. And a lot of people are worried about the replacement of human jobs. I find that it allows us to get more done. It allows us to serve more people, which allows us to create more opportunities, even internally within our own teams. You've talked about having a team of 8, expanding very soon into a team of 9. Talk to us about that, because a lot of people will probably be surprised by 2 dudes who love technology and love AI geeking out about the fact that we're also increasing human capital across the board. What's that look like, and where's that shift coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, a lot of it, I think personally, is a little bit of fear mongering. People can get publicity or attention based on, oh, this is going to happen, you got to be worried. And I understand that. But there's also this side that people, I don't know if they're realizing, of every major technological shift, we've lost jobs, but simultaneously we've gained jobs. Every single one, from all the way back from the Industrial Revolution, and more than likely significantly before to now. And so there's going to be little bits and pieces of jobs that are lost, and that's kind of part of this technological growth. Like, we're devising, as humanity as a whole, a way to automate some of these redundant processes. So let's free up the human side of things to do what humans are best at, and that's being creative and having passion, having a soul, having fervor for whatever it is they're focused on. And so that's kind of what we found. We've been able to automate a lot of stuff, everything from automated code reviews to invoice tracking to you name it. But at the same time, if we're meeting with a client, I can't automate a friendship. I can't automate, hey, explain to me your passion for your company and let's figure out how to make it better. Automate that. And then some of the things, so that's kind of ended up being kind of our main focus.
Elliot, I really appreciate that perspective from you, and I really appreciate the fact that what I hear in that answer is the fact that you're really good at finding those opportunities. And I want to come back to an example that you just used off the cuff of the example of, maybe sometimes this means AI, or maybe this means custom technology for an internal app. Is that not all of these solutions, Elliot, need to be those flashy, forward-facing, it has to create the world's coolest marketing campaign. It has to create the world's coolest website. Oftentimes it just means making our life easier and increasing capacity and making us run more efficiently. Talk to us about how, when you lift the lid on businesses, you're able to find those opportunities for optimizations, for improvement, for building things out, for integrating AI. What's that process look like as you play that systems architect role?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, it's the people side of things, right? So you have to connect with the person, then you have to connect with the problem. And so whenever we go in to talk with a client, I want to know their story. I want to know what they're passionate about. I want to know why they are the way they are and why they're doing what they're doing. And then from that, everything kind of flows with it. And that's always been a natural strength of mine, of identifying some of these inefficiencies. And so playing into that role while also connecting with the client we're connecting with, it's we talk about the problem. Hey, what are you struggling with? And sometimes it's, hey, we know this specific problem that needs a solution that we have some ideas or we don't know anything about. And then sometimes it's meeting with people and they're like, we don't know what exactly the problem is. We just know we're either behind or we could get a lot better. And then that's when we're able to initiate conversations either with department heads, or as the team as a whole, if the team is small enough of, okay, let's go day by day. Where's information coming in? What's happening? Where's information coming out? And that information could look anywhere from relationships to data to you name it. And so that's kind of been a lot of the same replicatable process, from secular and nonprofit, because one, everyone wants to be heard, and so all these business leaders, everyone wants to tell their story to some extent, and then everyone wants to be better, and so we're kind of able to help people along that journey.
Yeah, Elliot, I've got to go here with you on the air because I see this in so many guests and I feel like it's an understated superpower, and that is blurring the lines across all of life and business. And so frequently in your personal story today, we've heard how your religious background and inspiration and motivation plays into the way that you view business. And I feel like it trickles into the way that you always want to serve nonprofits, which we're definitely going to go there later in the conversation. But even if we go straight into the business world, I love the fact that there are no lines and no boundaries for you. Is that you don't care if you're talking about real estate, you don't care if you're talking about finance, you don't care if you're talking about nonprofits or government. You view the universal truths. I mean, you just shared one with us right there, which is everybody wants to be heard. And I find that we're in a really interesting place in the economy, and AI probably plays a role into it, where we can be generalists because we can be so much more flexible thanks to technology and thanks to AI. As a generalist myself, I love that. I've always kind of countered that advice of niche down, is that would bore me. And I learned so much more by talking to a lawyer and then a graphic designer and then someone who owns a social media agency and then a programmer. I learn more by borrowing from all of those different places. Talk to us about what that looks like in your life and in your business, because I see the clues of that publicly, and especially in some of your answers here today. But I think that this is an approach in a world where people tell us and encourage us to niche down, that you're living evidence of how we can borrow from all the best parts of life in different industries.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's riches and niches, right? So I've heard that since college, and I understand that. And there's you see that, I mean, throughout all these super successful business leaders. But with this rise of this new tech, you can kind of expand that a little bit. And so, I mean, my answer is a little twofold. Of it's always never stop learning, right? Always learn from the people that are in a place that you've never been. And so that really, that from what you said, I mean, you're interviewing lawyers and programmers and CEOs and whatever else, and so it's kind of enabling you to spread out and learn how much there is in life. And so you translate that same thing to how we're operating our company. Of it's you know what you're good at and you hire for what you need help in. And so with that, we have a ton of personal projects that or personal products, I guess, that we've produced for the public, and it kind of completely blows the line of there's riches and niches. And so it's just been very interesting, because I share the same opinion as you, but translating that into how we actually operate the business, and kind of seeing the fruit of that.
Yeah, I love that. It's really cool to hear how that plays into your behind the scene team structure, your behind the scene focus on what it is that you guys are building, what it is that you're putting into the world. And I promised we'd go here on the air, so I'm very excited, especially as the founder of a nonprofit. I cannot wait to hear your perspective on all of that, because you come from a life of service, especially within the nonprofit world. And even through today with EGI, that is such a core part of all the literature that our pre-production team found about you, Elliot. It's so clear how much you care about always passing that forward. So talk to us about that emphasis on nonprofits, because as a nonprofit founder, I feel like we're always scrambling for help and resources, and it's not always the easiest thing to obtain. So for you guys at EGI, you are obviously doing private sector work, you are doing public sector work, but that strong emphasis on nonprofits, where does that come from? How do you dedicate that time and service there? What does that side of your business look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is okay. So there's a few different facets. We do public and secular industry work, and so there's a lot of clients that we charge standard rates for a lot of this, and that allows us to use that profit margin and then reinvest that into the nonprofit side. And so, I mean, we make money, and we use some of the profits for R&D on some of our different internal products that we've released. But with my passion being to help people get the resources that they may not otherwise have been able to get, that's just kind of how we're trying to navigate this. So Saturdays, we call them Kingdom Work Days. So Saturdays are when we usually put the most emphasis primarily on nonprofit clients, but we will sparse it out. It depends on where each project is, what team members we have available, and when. But we try to keep them on the same timetable as we do our other clients, and afford them the same due process. And so there's been a lot of nonprofits that have taken us up on the offers, and so some of it's fully pro bono, some of it's fully pro bono by donations of other people. We have received donations to help certain nonprofits, and then some of it's heavily discounted, to just try to give them that same benefit that some of their secular counterparts would otherwise have, and we try our best to play into that.
Yeah, I love that so much. And again, as a nonprofit founder, I so appreciate the emphasis that you put there, because oftentimes, and especially with this podcast, I'll interview people and I'll think, oh my gosh, they could totally transform what we're doing through entrepreneurship, but there's no chance that we can afford them, unfortunately. And that's just the reality of what it means to be a nonprofit founder. And so, Elliot, along those lines, one guest came on once and they said, and I think about this every single day that I use AI, they said that we've already entered the era where the only limit to what we can do is our imagination, because it's really fun that we're at this point in time where if you can think it, you can do it. And that is such an exciting time period in history. Elliot, I find that what that means for a lot of listeners and business owners is that when they hear conversations like this one, they don't even know what they don't know. They can't even dream up these things that they haven't been exposed to just yet. Give us some examples of some tangible solutions or products or workflows or efficiencies that you guys have built and deployed into the real world behind the scenes for businesses that will allow us to dream and imagine a little bit after today's episode.
There's a lot of different facets, a lot of different options. So I enjoy this. This might be a little weird, but ChatGPT has a voice feature, and so sometimes I'll find myself, my wife jokes with me about it all the time because I'll do it, especially on road trips. I'll click the voice feature and I'll just brain dump, like just whatever problem I'm facing in the business of how do I do this? When do I do this? And I will just absolutely brain dump everything I've got and then ask it to help walk me through what options might be out there and what these different ideas look like. And as weird as it may sound, it's actually quite helpful. I don't recommend using anything like that for a simulated emotional connection, but using those tools to kind of help open your eyes to the information out there is always really helpful. And then there's a lot of tools that have the ability to test them for free that allow you to see visually how these processes work. So one is NAN, another one is Zapier. So those are online tools that you're able to use for smaller automations and workflows. And there's even people in my industry that are marketing themselves as going to companies and then using those to build the solutions. And so there's a few different tools like that, but I would recommend using what's available out there and then just explaining the problem and seeing what it can bring to the table of what's already out there. Because like you said, Brian, you don't know what you don't know. And so if a business owner recognizes that there's a problem and something's amiss, and they're able to just explain the problem, type the whole thing out, and it doesn't have to be structured in any way, shape, or form, and then seeing what the system responds with of, oh, I didn't even know that was available. Oh, this is a platform with a free tier. Oh, X, Y, Z. So that would be my recommendation of use the free stuff available out there and see if it can help you find the things that you don't know.
Yeah. Ooh, I love the fact that you also emphasize how accessible a lot of these tools are. Zapier has a free plan. N8N has a free self-hosted plan that you could use forever with no limitations. There's so many powerful tools out there, Elliot, that you're introducing listeners to, and I'm super grateful for that. It makes me want to zoom out with you because you and I obviously are having this conversation at the beginning of 2026, and everybody's wondering where's AI going to go this year, and I don't believe I have the answer, and I don't believe you have the answer. I don't believe any of us have the answer. I don't even think probably the CEO of Google probably knows exactly where it's going to go. But it is fun to speculate. It is fun to anticipate what would change our lives and our businesses. So, Elliot, what are some of those trends and shifts in AI here in 2026 that you've got your eye on, that you're thinking, oh, that's going to bring a better tomorrow, or that's going to be something that we as business owners should pay attention to? Where do your eyes go when you think about this coming year?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. So I have a few different newsletters that come into my inbox every morning that I read, and some of them, like some of the products that Google DeepMind is releasing, their DeepMind lab is pretty substantial. I recommend. I mean, if you're a business owner listener, go to labs.google.com and just look through all their free experiments. It's constantly updated with free AI powered tools, and it is unbelievable. And I mean, you have companies like OpenAI, Perplexity, Anthropic, all these major LLM providers that are coming out with these humongous tools, and a lot of them have newsletters to subscribe to. Whether it's AI powered browsers, there's one that just came out with an actual AI surrounded operating system. I mean, we could go on and on. And again, AI is not end all be all, but it is really, really amazing where it's going. And you have these scientific labs. I was reading one this morning. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but they reconstructed this protein. It was a bunch of I think they were virologists, and so the accessibility to some of these labs and companies to get access to the computing power needed to run some of these models and train some of these models. We have labs that are using models to build rocket engines. Like that's amazing. And so, because technology is a gradual curve. I forget the stat. I think it's somewhere along the lines of technological knowledge for humans as a whole doubles approximately every 12 hours. That might be a little off. Don't quote me on it. But it's a gradual curve. And so I think with how fast we went from ChatGPT 3.5, it's starting to make essays that sound human to now we're building rocket engines and videos with VO3 from Google that you can't tell the difference of. I think 2026 is going to be absolutely amazing, and we're going to see advancements in virology. We're going to see advancements in health industry as a general. We're going to see advancements in probably space travel, advancements in daily life, everything from coffee machines to cars. We're in for a doozy for 2026, and in my opinion, the best way is just to read about it, stay informed, put yourself in a position to where you're on top of it and you can be excited for it, but also learn how to use it in your life.
Heck yeah. Honestly, I think this is the year that if you're standing still, you are more quickly falling behind than ever before. So yes. I love that view on it. Elliot, I want to squeeze in 2 final questions with you here today because it's so much fun having you on the air. And the first question is, again, coming back to you as the founder, as somebody who founded and runs a tech service-based agency. How's that live up to expectations? How's that live up to what you always thought about when you envisioned being the CEO of a company? What does the day-to-day look like? What are the challenges that you're facing? What are the questions that you're asking of yourself? I'd love for you to take us behind the scenes there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we see online is kind of grandiose, right? You see the big and flashy tech CEOs that are working long hours and show up with the super bougie cars and whatnot. So I knew it was going to be fun. But one of the things I didn't realize was the need to constantly learn. And so me and the people on our team, like, it is a constant battle. Hey, I need you to read this. Hey, this just came out. I need you to figure out how this works. Hey, I just heard about this. We're going to figure out how to implement it in this client system. Like, there is so much of a constant need to push and drive further in an effort to increase our knowledge, especially as a whole. And so that like shut up and buck up kind of work of where you are locked down, nose to the grindstone, and working and learning as fast as possible. I mean, that often gets missed in the public facing side of things. But that with our team, like, our team is very, very passionate. I am so blessed to have people that are willing to put forth their time and resources on Kingdom Work days and build up these nonprofits. Now, they still get paid the same, but like, having people that have that same passion is unbelievably a blessing. It's amazing.
Yeah, so well said. I don't know how you're going to top all that for the answer to my last question, but I always ask this, and that is, what's your best piece of advice for listeners? Knowing that we're being listened to by both entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs at all stages of their own growth journeys, and knowing that you're a fellow entrepreneur, what's that one thing that you want to leave them with today?
Definitely stay learning. That has been kind of the focal point of the company in my life. When you see something new come out, don't just watch it idly and be like, "Hey, that's awesome." Dive into it. Figure out how it works. Figure out how to use it. Figure out what other people are doing with it, and just stay learning. Stay curious.
Yes, I love that advice, Elliot. It has been so much fun not only hearing your brilliance, but especially your attitude towards life, towards business, towards service. I'm so grateful for all of that. And I also know that listeners are going to be keen to check out all your work. They're going to be excited to see your website and all the cool stuff that you're doing. So drop those links on us. For listeners who want to find out more, where should they go from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check out our website, egintegrations.com, and that's going to have a lot of that basic information. And then we are opening up all social channels at the beginning of February. We're working with an amazing PR team. And so you're going to start seeing constant updates of these missions we're helping push forward and these products we're coming out with. And there's going to be a lot. So you can check us out on all major media platforms, EG Integrations, and go ahead and give us a follow, because pretty soon you're going to start seeing some amazing updates.
Yes, I love that. And listeners, you already know the drill. We're making it as easy as possible for you to find that link down below in the show notes, no matter where it is that you're tuning into today's episode. Super easy, egintegrations.com. You can click right on through from the show notes. We're also linking to Elliot's personal LinkedIn. So if you want to reach out, continue the conversation, you see how accessible he is and how much he absolutely loves talking about this stuff. So if you want to have an amazing entrepreneur in your network, don't be shy about reaching out to him on LinkedIn. So Elliot, on behalf of myself and all the listeners worldwide, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing. I appreciate it.